This is a recording of this year's Virtual Residency Fair. We'd like to take the time to thank the programs that volunteered their time to present to this year's applicants. This year's PM&R Scholars Virtual Residency Fair is supported by PM&R Recap and Ultrasound Guidance. PM&R Recap is the leading resource for your physiatry board preparation, clinical preparation, audition rotations, and beyond. PM&R Recap offers 35 hours of review videos, hundreds of review questions, and oral board cases to help you become the best physiatrist that you can be. Head to pmnrrecap.com to learn more. Ultrasound Guidance is the innovative new online ultrasound learning platform that gives you instant access to expert instruction. With rapid scans and complete scans of every joint and peripheral nerve, Ultrasound Guidance is the perfect way to jumpstart your MSK ultrasound learning. Visit ultrasoundguidance.com to learn more.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm Michelle Poliak-Tunis. Thank you very much, PM&R Scholars, for having us. This is the fourth summer that we are doing this presentation, which is crazy to say out loud. But Delilah Kowalski, our coordinator, is on. Dr. Michael Sewer, my associate program director, may be coming in and out. He's having car troubles right now. And then we have Dr. Caitlin Vanias, who's our chief resident PGY4, who's also on this with us. So if at any time during this you have questions, Dr. Sewer or Dr. Vanias will be answering some questions in the chat. So feel free to ask anything that you may have any questions. So let's go next slide. So a little bit about us. We are located in Madison, Wisconsin. We are an advanced program. We do currently have 3 residents per year. And we also have an ACGME accredited pain fellowship where we take 2 fellows per year. Next slide. So I'm the program director, and as I was saying before, Dr. Michael Sewer is our associate program director. Next slide. And Delilah Kowalski, who took her video off, but that is our our program coordinator. Next slide. So these are some of the residents, some pictures. I don't know how many of you guys are CrossFitters, but the national or the international CrossFit Games just finished today. So the bottom right is pictures of our residents along with one of our former residents, who's one of the medical directors at CrossFit Games, and they went and spent didactic morning there this past Friday. Bottom left is some other activities, outings during didactic time that they took as a class or as a group. Next slide. And some of our faculty. Bottom left is our welcome party for residents and fellows from last summer. And bottom right was our ugly sweater party that we had at one of our, Dr. Caldera, one of our colleagues' houses. So we have time to socialize with the residents and faculty alike. So next slide. A little bit about the rotations. So obviously there's inpatient rotations and outpatient rotations. When it comes to inpatient rotations, you spend your time at the UW Health Rehabilitation Hospital, which is a freestanding rehab hospital. You also spend some time at Central Wisconsin Center, and you also do the pediatric rotations at the pediatric hospital. For the outpatient time, our rotations include general rehab, EMG, MSK rotations, community rotations, consults, pediatrics, and then you get 3 months of elective time also during your residency with us. Next slide. UW Hospital, it's a level 1 adult trauma center, and what you have pictured here is the hospital. Behind it is Lake Mendota. We have a comprehensive stroke center. Over 500 beds are at the main hospital. There's 11 medical and surgical specialties, and it's been ranked #1 hospital in Wisconsin many years in a row. Next slide. Our freestanding rehab hospital, it opened in 2015. It's a 50-bed acute inpatient rehabilitation hospital. Like I was saying, it's a freestanding standalone hospital. There you're going to get all the bread and butter pathology that you need to get during PM&R residency, to include stroke, brain injury, spinal cord injury, amputees, ortho injuries, debility, hospitalization, prolonged hospitalization, transplants, a lot of transplant patients, post-COVID, and obviously other medical complex patients. Next slide. With regards to pediatrics, so the pediatric hospital is the American Family Children's Hospital. It's a level 1 trauma center. It's consistently ranked among the nation's best children's hospital in the last 10 years. There's an inpatient rehab unit, there's a consult service, and there's a multidisciplinary outpatient clinic. Anyone interested in pediatrics, we currently have 4 pediatric PM&R physicians that work there, which is pretty high number when it comes to pediatric PM&R doctors. So, and I believe they're going to be recruiting for their 5th. So we have a very strong pediatric PM&R contingency. Next slide. CWC, or Central Wisconsin Center. So very unique experience when you come in and you become a resident with us. It was established in 1959. It's a short-term and long-term services for individuals that have intellectual as well as physical disabilities. Their residents or patients interact with PT, OT, speech. They have music and recreation therapy, educational services, nutrition, pharmacies, nursing, rehab physicians, psychiatry, psychology, social workers, case managers, audiology, and dentistry. They also have in-house wheelchair and orthotic modifications. And as a PGY 3 and 4, you actually have moonlighting opportunities if you want there. Next slide. The VA hospital, which is attached to the main hospital. This is where you do a little bit of outpatient clinics, including spine and musculoskeletal medicine, as well as you may participate in the amputee clinic there. Next slide. Outpatient clinics. We have quite a few. We have a Middleton University Avenue Rehab Clinic. There's a spine clinic at Research Park. We have a pain clinic. Madison Surgery Center is where you're going to do your procedures under fluoroscopy. And there's an East Madison clinic as well. Next slide. And now I'm going to pass this on to Dr. Vanias, who's going to talk to you a little bit about didactics.
Thanks, Dr. Boliak. So Friday, our designated academic time is Friday mornings. That means no clinical duties, no pager duties, the attendings round at the rehab hospital. And we have an 18-month curriculum that goes through all of the board eligible content, as well as other things that are clinically relevant. And then the Friday mornings are the protected time. Some other didactics happen at the rehab hospital with the therapists and the hospitalists, as well as like the pain rotation with the fellows and attendings there. A component of the didactics is resident-led, which includes journal club, clinical case conferences where we work through interesting or unique cases, morbidity and mortality, a hour of protected board review time every month, and when year 3s and 4s doing a grand rounds presentation. So we have quite a bit of procedure exposure. None of us have issues hitting any of our required numbers. We're especially strong in EMG, fluoroscopically guided procedures, and spasticity management. So botulinum toxin and baclofen pumps. So we, as Dr. Poliak mentioned, have a 49-bed freestanding rehab hospital. That is where we do all of our call, which is home call. The number of weeks decreases as you move through the program. And when you're primary call, you have pager responsibilities and rounding responsibilities. The backup team just has rounding responsibilities to split up the hospital, but no pager responsibilities over the weekend or during the week. And as Dr. Poliak mentioned, we do have moonlighting opportunities at Central Wisconsin Center. The vacation days off are pretty standardized. These are working days, so it does include our weekends are technically not working days. So this is 3 weeks of vacation. And our stipends are pretty high considering the cost of living in Wisconsin. And then there's the $2,000 to use for books, conferences, travel, and membership to AAP, AAP&R, as well as AANEM. So there are plenty of research opportunities if this is something that you're interested in. We're especially strong in the pain research space, but the University of Wisconsin is a big academic research institution. So working with other departments, cross collaborations have always been encouraged, and multiple people have done this with neurology, geriatrics, anything you're interested in. So for those not from the Midwest or not familiar, Madison is the capital of Wisconsin. It's the second largest city in Wisconsin after Milwaukee. Population is 250,000, so it's kind of still a medium-sized town. And if you look at Google Maps or the sky view, it's a pretty unique geography because it's the downtown situated on the isthmus in between Lake Mendota and Monona. And there's just a lot of infrastructure for being outside, parks, multi-use paths and trails within the city, as well as kind of the surrounding areas. So on the top right is kind of the sky view of Madison with, you can see a little bit of the skyline plus the two lakes. On the left is Devil's Lake, which is within an hour drive of Madison. There's multiple state parks, and it gets quite, it's not mountainous, but it gets quite hilly in both to the north and to the west. And any type of water sports is kind of part of the culture just because it's situated right on the two lakes, with downtown literally right there. Madison is a college town with home to the main campus of University of Wisconsin. So there's always kind of college type activities, but there's a great downtown with lots of like outdoor seating in the summer. And on the left is Union Terrace, which is also right on the edge of campus, right downtown, that you can sit and have dinner, hang out. It's open all summer. And then we are within 75-minute drive of Milwaukee that can kind of bring in some bigger concerts or other events. And we're about 2.5 hours to Chicago, depending on where you're going. So professional sports in Wisconsin are a big deal. We're definitely in Packer country with the Green Bay Packers up the road. And then in the other direction, we have the Milwaukee Bucks and Brewers. There are some kind of semi-professional sports in Madison. There's a crew that went to a Mallards game this past weekend. That's the local baseball team. And being right on, being at the University of Wisconsin, there's lots of collegiate sports. Football is a big deal. Our team is kind of hit or miss. The volleyball team is fantastic and is usually one of the best in the country. And hockey games are very fun to go to. We wanted to leave some time for questions and also wanted to talk about or plug our meet and greet that we're going to have, not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday, that there'll be a little bit more time to talk through kind of the more nuts and bolts of our program and meet a few more residents. And you can scan the QR code to sign up. You're not obligated to attend. If you do sign up, we know that everybody's busy and especially on weekdays. But that would give us kind of an idea of how many people are interested. And we do have a social media presence, most active on Instagram. We do have a Twitter or X account. I didn't have the heart to change this to an X, but Instagram is where you'll find a lot of kind of what's going on and what we're doing. So we're going to open up. I know we went through a lot of information really fast, but we wanted to open it up for questions. And we'll keep an eye on the chat as well.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions, I I know we're the first group tonight, but I'm sure a lot of you guys have attended others. So feel free to ask questions. EMR, we use Epic. So Epic, for those of you that don't know, is actually from right here in Madison, about 15 minutes away in Verona, Wisconsin. So we were the first institution to use Epic many, many, many years ago. And so that's what we use here. Residents, where do they go after graduating? All over. We have, I'm just thinking of the ones that just graduated now. One's going back to California to do inpatient medicine. One is going to be doing possibly a combo of inpatient and outpatient, but she's a medical director in Minnesota. And then the third is doing a pain fellowship at University of Minnesota.
We actually have an interactive map on our website. So if you go to our website and then look at the alumni tab, there is an interactive map so you can see where all our graduates went. Sorry to interrupt you, Dr.
No,
Polita.
that's perfect. That's why Delilah's on this, because she knows more than I do at all times. I will always say, just ask Delilah, because, and if she doesn't know, she will figure it out. How far are the sites from each other? They're not, I'll let Caitlin answer this question. I would say they're not that far. Oh, 5 minutes. All right. But Caitlin, what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, Madison is not that big in general, so that it is all over the city. But I would say no matter where you live in Madison or the various suburbs, that you can get pretty much anywhere within 30 minutes. But most of them are more like 15 minutes. It just depends on where you live and where everything is. But you can drive from one like complete end of Madison to the other in about 30 minutes even on either end of the day. But you do need a car. There's not great public transport options in the city, so you do need a car of your own. It looks like the other question, what PGY year or PGY do residents get exposure to pediatric rehab? So we have split this. So you do 6 weeks as a PGY2 and 6 weeks as a PGY4. You do some early, both so you can get exposure to it if you decide you want to do that. And it helps because we do, while we're on call, do field some pages, some pediatric pages. Good questions.
And sports coverage for residents. There's no formal sports coverage. There's plenty of opportunities if residents wanted to do sports. Dr. Sewer, who I think is not on, he could probably talk a little bit more about that because he still does some coverage for some of the high school sports teams. And I know that some of our residents have gone with him to do that. So if you want to, there's opportunities to do so, but it's not a requirement.
Yeah, lots of high school opportunities, and then there's a lot of athletic events hosted in Madison. So there's a big Ironman. They're always looking for volunteers, and so there's lots of stuff going. If this is something you want to make a priority.
And with regards to adaptive sports, there is actually leagues and clubs here in Madison that our residents will constantly get emails about to, hey, do you want to come help with an activity? One of our attendings who does a lot of the prosthetics will do, we'll always get emails from different societies to ask, hey, do a resident want to come help with an activity? So there's definitely opportunities to do that. And Kaylee, you want to do a little plug on what you guys did for the CrossFit Games, since that was unique?
Yeah. So for those not familiar, as I wasn't, CrossFit has this kind of their culmination big event for essentially professional athletes. That there's a whole way to qualify for this. And they have the final event in Madison for the past 7 years. And so there's a huge team of doctors and EMTs, and we went down to their clinic, had a tour, got to watch some events, and some people went to the adaptive. The adaptive was during the week on a weekday, so not all of us were able to leave clinic, but talk to the clinician that kind of helps run the adaptive sports aspect of it. Yeah, I think that we're out of time, but good questions. And yeah, if anybody has more questions, wanting to talk to more residents, then hop on Tuesday or next Tuesday.
Thanks, PM&R Scholars.